Elena Rodriguez wiped down the espresso machine for the third time that morning, her eyes occasionally drifting to the snow falling gently outside the windows of Café Luna. The small coffee shop in downtown Seattle had been her workplace for 2 years. Ever since she had moved to America with dreams of finishing her linguistics degree and building a better life for herself and her younger brother back home in Colombia. At 28, Elena spoke 6 languages fluently: Spanish, English, French, Italian, Portuguese, and Mandarin Chinese. She had learned them through a combination of formal education, online courses, and countless hours of practice with international students at the community college where she took evening classes. Most customers at the cafe only heard her speak English, unaware of the linguistic treasure trove behind her warm smile and patient demeanor. The morning rush had been typical until a well-dressed man in his mid-30s entered, shaking snow from his charcoal gray suit jacket. Alexander Chen carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone accustomed to boardrooms and international negotiations, though Elena simply saw him as another customer in need of caffeine and warmth. Alexander settled at a corner table near the window, opening his laptop and spreading out several documents. Elena noticed the papers appeared to be in different languages, and she could make out what looked like contract terms in at least 3 scripts. The man seemed focused, but increasingly frustrated as he made phone calls in hushed tones. After serving her usual morning regulars, Elena approached his table with a fresh pot of coffee. "Would you like a refill, sir?" Alexander looked up, and Elena noticed the stress lines around his eyes. "Thank you, yes. And I'm sorry if I'm being too loud with these calls. I have some urgent business matters to resolve, and the timing is rather unfortunate." "No problem at all," Elena replied warmly. "Business doesn't pause for snowstorms, does it?" "Unfortunately not," Alexander sighed. "I'm trying to coordinate with partners in São Paulo, but my Portuguese interpreter canceled at the last minute due to the weather. I have a conference call in 20 minutes that could determine whether we can finalize a major expansion project." Elena hesitated for a moment, then made a decision that would change both their lives. "Excuse me, but did you say you need help with Portuguese?" "I couldn't help but overhear." Alexander's eyebrows raised with interest. "You speak Portuguese?" "Sim, falo português fluentemente," Helena replied smoothly. "I studied it in university and have maintained my proficiency through practice with Brazilian exchange students." Alexander stared at her in amazement. "Are you serious? You could help me understand technical contract terms?" "I can certainly try," Elena said modestly. "I have experience with business terminology from my linguistics studies. Would you like me to take a look at what you're working with?" For the next hour, Elena found herself drawn into Alexander's complex business world. The documents involved a joint venture between his company and a Brazilian manufacturing firm, with technical specifications and legal terms that required precise translation. What surprised Alexander most was not just Elena's linguistic ability, but her quick grasp of business concepts and her insightful questions about contract details. "Wait," Elena said, studying a particular clause in Portuguese. "I think there might be a misunderstanding in this section. The Portuguese text says, exclusivity for South American markets, but your English summary mentions exclusive rights in Brazil only. That's a significant difference in scope." Alexander leaned forward, studying the documents with renewed attention. "You're absolutely right. That discrepancy could have cost us millions in unexpected competition." "How did you catch that so quickly?" "Languages are like puzzles," Elena explained. "Sometimes the pieces don't fit exactly the same way in different tongues. You have to understand not just the words, but the cultural context and business implications behind them." When Alexander's conference call began, Elena remained nearby, quietly providing real-time translation and cultural context. She helped him navigate not just the language barriers, but subtle communication differences between American and Brazilian business cultures. "In Brazil, they're being more formal than usual," Elena whispered during a brief hold. "That suggests they're still uncertain about the partnership. You might want to acknowledge their concerns about market volatility before pushing forward with timeline discussions." Following Elena's advice, Alexander adjusted his approach, and the call concluded with both sides agreeing to move forward with the project. After hanging up, he turned to Elena with genuine gratitude and amazement. "Elena, I don't know how to thank you. You didn't just translate words. You helped me understand an entire different approach to business communication. That deal represents a $50 million expansion into South American markets." Elena smiled, beginning to clear the table. "I'm just glad I could help. It was actually quite interesting to see international business in action." "Wait," Alexander said, gently touching her arm. "Please don't go yet. I have to ask, what are you doing working as a barista when you clearly have this level of skill in international business and languages?" Elena's smile faltered slightly. "I'm finishing my linguistics degree at night while working here during the day. International business is fascinating, but opportunities in that field usually require connections and credentials that someone like me doesn't have access to." "Someone like you?" Alexander asked, his tone puzzled. "An immigrant working in a coffee shop," Elena said matter-of-factly, without self-pity. "Most companies want MBAs from prestigious schools, not community college students who learned languages out of curiosity and necessity." Alexander was quiet for a long moment, processing not just her words but the assumptions he realized he had been making about people based on their current circumstances rather than their potential. "Elena, may I ask you something that might sound presumptuous?" She nodded, curious. "Would you be interested in learning about international business consulting? Not just as a translator, but as someone who clearly understands the strategic implications of cross-cultural communication." Elena's heart skipped a beat. "I would be very interested, but I'm not sure how someone in my position could make that transition." Alexander pulled out his business card, and Elena's eyes widened as she read it. Alexander Chen, CEO, Global Strategic Partners. She had just spent the morning helping one of the most successful international business consultants in the Pacific Northwest, and she had no idea. "Elena," Alexander said gently, "I've been doing this for 12 years, and I've worked with translators and consultants from top firms around the world. What you demonstrated today wasn't just linguistic skill. It was strategic business insight that comes from understanding how people really communicate across cultures." Elena stared at the business card, struggling to process what she was hearing. "I'd like to offer you an opportunity," Alexander continued. "My company is expanding our cultural consulting division, and we need someone who can not only translate languages, but help our clients understand the deeper nuances of international business relationships." "Mr. Chen, I appreciate the kind words, but I don't have the background." "You have something better than traditional background," Alexander interrupted gently. "You have authentic multicultural experience and an intuitive understanding of how to build bridges between different ways of thinking. That's not something you can learn in business school." Over the next 2 hours, as the cafe grew quieter and the snow continued falling outside, Alexander and Elena discussed the possibilities. He explained how modern international business required people who could navigate not just language barriers, but cultural assumptions and communication styles that often determined whether deals succeeded or failed. "My clients include Fortune 500 companies expanding into Latin American markets, Asian firms seeking to understand American business culture, and European companies trying to navigate the complexities of global partnerships," Alexander explained. "What I need is someone who can help them understand that successful international business is fundamentally about human connection across cultural boundaries." Elena listened with growing excitement and trepidation. "It sounds incredible, but I'm not sure I'm qualified for that level of responsibility." "Elena, in 3 hours, you prevented a multi-million-dollar misunderstanding, helped me navigate a complex negotiation, and demonstrated exactly the kind of strategic thinking my clients desperately need. The question isn't whether you're qualified. It's whether you're willing to discover how much you're capable of achieving." 6 months later, Elena stood in the conference room of Global Strategic Partners, leading a presentation for executives from a major technology company planning expansion into South American markets. She wore a professional navy suit, and her confident manner reflected the transformation from barista to international business consultant. But she still started each morning at Café Luna, not as an employee but as a customer, meeting with Alexander to discuss their growing consulting partnership over the same coffee that had brought them together. You know, Alexander said one morning as they reviewed proposals from 3 new Fortune 500 clients, "I never properly thanked you for that day." Elena looked puzzled. "Thanked me for what? You're the one who changed my entire life." "You changed mine too," Alexander replied seriously. "Before I met you, I thought success in international business was about having the right credentials and connections. You taught me that it's really about understanding people and building genuine relationships across cultural boundaries." Elena smiled, remembering the nervous young woman who had been afraid to offer help to a stressed businessman. "I learned something important that day, too." "What's that?" "That sometimes the most important qualifications aren't the ones written on your resume. They're the ones written on your heart. Curiosity, compassion, and the courage to believe you might have something valuable to offer." Alexander raised his coffee cup in a toast to discovering that the best opportunities often come disguised as ordinary moments, and to the magic that happens when we're brave enough to offer help, even when we're not sure we're qualified to give it, Elena added, clinking her cup against his. Outside the window, Seattle buzzed with its usual morning energy, and Elena marveled at how a simple gesture of kindness to a frustrated customer had opened doors she never could have imagined. She had learned that success wasn't about having perfect credentials or following a traditional path. It was about recognizing moments when your unique combination of skills and experience could make a difference in someone else's life. And sometimes, when you help someone else solve their problems, you discover solutions to challenges you didn't even know you were facing. In Elena's case, helping a stressed businessman with his Portuguese contracts had revealed her true calling and introduced her to a partner who would help her build a career beyond her wildest dreams. The best part was that she still got to practice all 6 of her languages every day, now helping major corporations navigate the complex but rewarding world of international business. And it all started with a simple question. "Would you like a refill, sir?" Sometimes the most extraordinary opportunities come wrapped in the most ordinary moments, waiting for someone brave enough to say, "I think I can help with that." If this story inspired you to believe that your unique skills and experiences might be exactly what someone needs, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs encouragement to offer their gifts to the world. Subscribe for more uplifting stories about how ordinary moments can lead to extraordinary opportunities. And let us know in the comments about a time when helping someone else opened an unexpected door in your own life. Your story might encourage someone to take that brave first step toward their dreams.